Hello, How To Bob here, and I made this video to show you how to recharge your car's AC. I'll be using a 2008 Equinox to do the charging. We've already had it repaired, and the Freon coolant has been removed. So we're starting with an empty system. I'm going to start by taking off the caps. This is the low pressure side, and this is the high pressure side. I have a set of gauges that I have bought at Harbor Freight. You can pick them up on Amazon, and you can see that the high pressure side does not fit on the low pressure side, and likewise the low pressure hose does not fit on the high pressure side. So we'll hook up the red one to the high pressure and the blue one to the low pressure. Once we get those hooked up, we're going to close both valves on the manifold, and I got this handy dandy vacuum pump that I also picked up right around $50 for a nice vacuum pump. Comes in handy for doing your AC units. And I'll hook that up to the inlet hose, the yellow hose on my manifold gauge, and turn on the vacuum pump. Now at this point, it's not doing anything until I open up the manifold. So I'll open up the low side, and you can see the gauge move down towards 0, and it goes below 0 to a vacuum at that point. I'm going to let that run for a little while. I can even open up the high pressure side because I'll be sucking it from either side, drawing a vacuum through the whole system. It really doesn't matter, but I like to just draw it from the low pressure side. So about a half an hour later, you can see that's about as low as I'm going to get. You can go a little bit longer if you'd like. So I'm going to close the low pressure and make sure the high pressure side is closed as well, and then I'll turn my vacuum pump off. And you can see everything stays right where it is. So I can take my inlet hose off of my vacuum pump, and I am finished with my vacuum pump. Now I want to start the vehicle, and I want to turn the air conditioning on. This air conditioning is flashing because there's no refrigerant in the system, so it's flashing. But I do want it on high, and you can see what the temperature is reading. It's pretty high right now. Now you can see this system uses about 1.3 pound of refrigerant, and each can is 12 ounces. That's about 0.75 of a pound. So we'll use a little less than 2 cans. And I'll hook up my piercing valve and screw that into my refrigerant. And once that gets screwed on tight, I will pierce the top of the can all the way down, and then I back it back off a few turns, and now I've got Freon going up to the manifold. I want to let a little bit out so I get the air that's in the line out, and then once I get all the air out of the line, I can open my low pressure side, and it'll start working its way in. And while it's working its way in, I want to rock the can back and forth so I get some liquid along with some gas. Once that's empty, I'll close my low pressure side on my gauges and at the canister here. Now I just unscrew this can, and I can get rid of this now. Next, I'm going to back off my piercing valve so that it doesn't pierce the can right away when I start to screw it in. Grab a new can and start screwing that into the valve here. Once that gets seated, I can then pierce the can, screw it all the way down, and then back it off a little bit, let some refrigerant come out, and again start to rock it back and forth until this can is about empty. Now I'm going to keep an eye on the clutch. It's down here on the compressor, and once that starts kicking, I know the Freon starts going in, and I'll be tilting my can back and forth as I fill the system, and you can see it's already getting lower, and I want to fill it up to the 2.12. Once I get it all the way full to that amount, I'll shut off the manifold, both the high and low side, and I'll make sure it stays put. And it'll move just a little bit as the compressor kicks, but then I'll turn the vehicle off and let it sit, and it should equalize. The high and low pressure side should be about the same. So we know that there's no leaks, everything's working as it should. I can disconnect my low side and then disconnect the high side as well. I can put my caps back on, and then I can check it one last time and see how cool it actually gets. So this is the basics of how you fill a automobile's air conditioning system with refrigerant. I'm How To Bob. Thanks for watching.